afternoon. Good afternoon. This is Point of View with Shirley, Criessa, Eula, and Maritha. This is Point of View on this Thursday, which is the 11th of January in the year 2024. This is Point of View, and I thank you so much for being with me today. It's such a wonderful day, such a wonderful, wonderful day. And God has blessed us to live to see this day. It's such a wonderful, wonderful thing to be able to come to you and bring these topics to you about different things. And so this morning, welcome, 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 welcome. Talking about fear, talking about fear. And I want to make sure I have everything right here before I turn the camera on. Talking about fear. So my cousin and I were talking this morning. Effie and I were talking. I had the privilege of talking to Effie today, and I am so thankful for that. We were talking, and she was, I relayed something to her, and she was saying fear. She said fear, and so I said, yeah, even though we've talked about it before, we're going to talk about it again because there's always something else we can talk about on the same subject. And many times, you never ever go through the same thing over and over. Then if we touch, it's just to reiterate the things that we have said. So I'm going to talk about fear. I'm in psychology today. Let me see. I'm in psychology today, and there's a news site that I am on also. But I'm going to go ahead and pray. Dear God, as I sit before you to speak, I pray to you that my soul you will keep. And if I should die before I finish, I pray to you, dear God, in the name of Jesus, that any outstanding sins will be forgiven. Amen. Talking about fear, and I want to define fear. What is fear? Let me make sure I can get this psychology today talking about fear. And this was reviewed by the Psychology Today staff. So if people didn't feel fear, they wouldn't be able to protect themselves from legitimate threats. Talking about fear. Fear is a vital response to physical and emotional danger that has been pivotal throughout human evolution, but especially in ancient times when men and women regularly faced life or death situations. Talking about fear. Today, the stakes are lower, but while public speaking, elevators, and spiders don't present the same type of immediately dire consequences that faced early man, some individuals still develop extreme fight, flight, or freeze responses to specific objects or scenarios. So, if and I went even over this today. So, many people experience occasional bouts of fear or nerves before flight, first date, or big game. But when someone's fear is persistent and specific to a certain threat and impairs his or her everyday life, that person might have what's known as a specific phobia. Okay? It might be a specific phobia. And I will go through that again. When someone's fear is persistent and specific to certain threat and impairs his or her everyday life, that person might have what's known as a specific phobia. So the contents of this piece are why people feel fear, specific phobias, social anxiety, and overcoming fear. This is Psychology Today. Why people feel fear. At least 60% of adults. This is for me, this is for you, this is for so many people. If this is when you share this, thousands of people will be able to see this, and then they will see themselves, they will see someone else in this. So my desire is to help someone while I'm helping myself. So at least 60% of adults admit to having at least one unreasonable fear, although research to date is not clear on why these fears manifest. So they're still working on it, okay? So one theory is that humans have a genetic predisposition to fear things that were a threat to our ancestors, such as snakes, spiders, heights, or water. But this is difficult to verify, although people who have a first degree relative with a specific phobia appear more likely to have the same one. And I've seen people, as a matter of fact, someone really close to me, the person's uh, mother was like, she had phobias, and then that person has those phobias also. So you have to really tread lightly when you're dealing with that person. You have to watch what you say. There's so many things that can happen with these phobias. They can make people act specific ways. You have to learn how to deal with those people. So although who have a first degree relative with specific phobia appear more likely to have the same one, others point to evidence that individuals fear certain things because of a previous traumatic experience with them, but that fails to explain the many fears without such origins. Personality traits such as neuroticism appear to increase one's likelihood of developing a phobia, and the tendency toward the frequent worries and negative thoughts may also increase the risk, as may being raised by overprotective parents, losing a parent, or sexual or physical abuse. Most likely is that people follow multiple pathways to fears, not least among them the emotional response of disgust. Okay? Most likely is that people follow multiple pathways to fears, not least among them the emotional response of disgust. My goodness. So here's a question here. Hi, thank you so much for being with me today. Let me go to so I can monitor what I'm doing and what I'm saying. Hello, thank you so much for being with me. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Okay, got that set. Now, did humans evolve to specific fears? Here's a question. Did humans evolve to feel specific fears? And I'm in psychology today. We're talking about fear today, and this is very important. We probably talked about this months ago or whatever, years ago. I think this is the third year point of view with Shirley, Cleesta, Eula, and Maritha. I think this might be, we're working on our third year. But I've talked about these things in the past, way back yonder also. So, throughout human history, certain animals, such as snakes and spiders, have caused high numbers of deaths. Thus, some researchers believe men and women may have evolved to carry an innate instinct to avoid such creatures, as it would deliver a survival advantage. Okay? So some studies have shown that it's easier to condition people without apparent fears of any animals to fear snakes and spiders than to fear dogs or other friendly creatures. Studies of other primates show that they share humans' fear of snakes. Okay? Studies of other primates show that they share humans' fear of snakes, leading some to speculate that such fears themselves may have spurred the growth of primate intelligence overall as humans and others evolved to avoid the dangers posed by such threats. So, yes, we all know it seems like, we were taught when we were coming up that this is dangerous, that is dangerous, because if a child coming up or somebody who's never seen a snake or a spider or never, things like that, they don't know what they are. They don't know how to deal with those things. And like a child could see one and he could try to pick it up, or she could try to pick it up because they don't know that there is a danger. So we were taught these things also. But it's talking about how it could be built in from our ancestors and early humans because this is a specific thing, and then people have had experiences with this. So we let it go down from generation to generation, and I believe that's a good thing. So, how do children learn fear? Here we go. Research shows that babies do not appear to show signs of fear until around 8 to 12 months of age, usually in response to new people or events, but they are less likely to show a fear of strangers when sitting on a parent's lap. And while some fears may be innate in humans, many fears are learned, perhaps most commonly by seeing a parent react fearfully to an animal or situation, or to frequently warn a child about its dangers. See, didn't I just say that? So why do people sometimes seek out scary experiences? Yeah, why do they? And we've all probably done that. Scary movies. I don't bother with those things anymore because I will have a nightmare and I will be acting out and trying to run and all that, and that's not healthy for me, okay? But I used to like the scary movies and all that stuff, and but not anymore, okay? So why do people sometimes seek out scary experiences? What everyday fears can hold us back? So we're going on down. Specific phobias. A phobia is a distinct fear of anxiety about a certain object or situation, exposure to which consistently provokes fear or causes distress in the sufferer. Okay? A phobia is a distinct fear or anxiety about a certain object or situation, exposure to which consistently provokes fear or causes distress in the sufferer. The fear experienced is almost always disappropriate. Okay, excuse me, wrong word. The fear experienced is almost always disproportionate to the true danger the object or event poses, and people with specific phobias generally know there is no real reason to be afraid and that their behavior is not logical. However, they cannot avoid their reaction. So, we're going to talk about phobias, the categories that they fall into. Phobias fall into five broad categories, according to Psychology Today. Fears of animals, such as fear of dogs, and I know some people are afraid of dogs, and many have had an experience with dogs. I have a friend, and I call her a friend, and I could probably count on one hand how many friends I have. But she is afraid of dogs because of an experience. I know a man that's afraid of squirrels because of an experience of a squirrel jumping down on his head. So, fears of animals, such as a fear of dogs, that's xenophobia, spiders, arachnophobia, or bugs, insectophobia, or entomo, entomophobia. Okay, entomophobia. So these fears, known as Zoophobias also include the fear of bats, and that is chiroptophobia, and of snakes or lizards, which is herpetophobia. Okay, herpetophobia. Ooh, my goodness. Next, fears of the natural environment. Fears of the natural environment. Now let me do this right here. I want to make sure that I get this right. Okay. Make sure that I'm getting it right. I always like to get the pronunciation of these words like they should be. Let me see if they're going to pronounce it for me. It's a noun. See if they'll announce it for me. No, so I'm not going to worry about it. But it's chiroptophobia. That is the fear of bats. Okay. Now, come on, there. Act right here. Now, fears of the natural environment, such as a fear of heights, that's acrophobia, or of storms. Now, these phobias also include fear of fire, pyrophobia, and a fear of the dark, which is nyctophobia, okay, or nyctophobia. Nyctophobia. It's an NY. Next, fears related to blood, hemophobia, injury and injection, such as fear of needles, trypanophobia, or medical procedures, including dentistry, dentophobia. Next, there are situational fears, such as a fear of flying, aerophobia, a fear of public speaking, glossophobia, or fear of riding in elevators, which is itself a type of fear of closed spaces, and that's claustrophobia. We know about that. We've heard of that claustrophobia. Okay, so others such as a fear of vomiting or choking. Those are the five. Okay, so we say there is the fears of animals, such as dogs, and then there's spiders, a fear of spiders or bugs, and then there's a fear known, we call it zoophobias, the fear of bats and of snakes or lizards, and then there's the fears of the natural environment. Then there are the fears related to blood, injury and injection, those fears, and there's situational fears. And then there are others, such as a fear of vomiting and choking. Now, phobias can manifest at any time, but tend to emerge in childhood or adolescence. And the symptoms are often lifelong. You hear that? The symptoms are often lifelong. In some cases, exposure to the feared object or situation, which is the phobic stimulus, can cause full or limited panic attacks. As many as 9% of Americans annually experience a specific phobia, according to the DSM-5, and women are twice as likely as men to have a phobia. And I know two people who are very, very close to me that have what is arachnophobia, especially arachnophobia. My God, and it is terrible. So it's not uncommon to have multiple phobias. Three-quarters of individuals diagnosed with a specific phobia have more than one, and the average sufferer has three. You hear that? The average sufferer of phobias has three. The average sufferer of a phobia has at least three. So the onset of a phobia can sometimes be traced to a specific event. And we all know about things like that. Something that happened to us and now we are very leery of it. We're very leery of it. We're talking about fear today, okay? Fear. The onset of phobia can sometimes be traced to a specific event like surviving a plane crash or being attacked by a dog. But for many more people, The origin of the phobia remains unknown. Some people with a specific phobia change their lifestyles to avoid their triggers, moving to a region where certain animals are rare, for example, or where there is no subway. And so, to learn more about causes and treatments, you can see the diagnosis dictionary here in Psychology Today. So, what is agoraphobia? What is agoraphobia? Agoraphobia is the fear of situations that would be difficult to escape from or from which it would be difficult to get help, such as being in a movie, theater, or subway car. And like being closed in, being closed in. Now I do fly, and I just I have to say, Lord, hey, something could happen to me wherever I am. And so I just trust him. And if it's his will, from whatever his will is, I just leave it up to God. I just leave it up to him. But I don't like flying. And I don't brag about flying, but I will fly. And I've flown more in the last few years than I have, because it was a long gap between the last flight and the first one I had, like in the last 5 or 6 years or whatever. There was a long space in there. So that's one of my things. But then now I get on the plane and there's nothing I can do about anything anyway. So I just get on the plane and I just leave it in the hands of the Almighty God of heaven and earth and of the universe. And I can relax. I can watch a movie. I can listen to music, and I thank God for that. I thank Him for that. Okay, now people with agoraphobia may fear public transportation, open spaces such as bridges, enclosed spaces like elevators, crowded places like concerts, and being away from home in general. I remember when I was a student and I was a student nurse at Memorial Hospital in Denison. We know where Memorial was over there on Washington, off of Washington Street, which is now Martin Luther King. But everybody knows where Memorial Hospital was. So I was on the elevator, and the elevator stopped on me between floors, and that did something to me. And so when I did get it opened up, I had to step up to get out of the elevator. So I've had that experience, but I will go ahead and get on an elevator. I really will now, but that was not a good experience. No, 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 no. So sufferers may become highly distressed when they find themselves in such situations and will go out of their way to avoid them. And that's what I would do. I would get in my car, and I like driving. I like to travel. I like to see things. I like to take my time. But now, when my children tell me, Mom, we're going to fly, I don't give them an argument. I just go ahead and get on there, because anything can happen, like I say. There's no guarantee about anything. It's all in God's hands. So I get on there, and the Lord blesses me to relax and be content during the flight or even the road trip, wherever the situation is. I adjust, I adapt, and I go on, because I realize that there's nothing I can do about anything anyway. So while it's going on, just be able to absorb it and enjoy it. Why do many people have a fear of heights? And I think about even like being on the sea. I took my children on a cruise. Oh, many. Went on a 1 day cruise, and we got on the ship early that morning. It was in Port Canaveral, Florida. We drove all the way down there. We got on the ship and got on early in the morning, and then we went way out into international waters. That's when they could open up the gambling and all of that. They had to be at a certain part. It had to be at international waters, and then we were out there all day long, and then we got back that night. But I knew that there was nothing I could do. I can't drink all that water. I can't swim, so I'm going to have to make the best of this. And I did. So why do we did, my children and I, so why do many people have a fear of heights? And then you look at that ship is so big, and you look down, oh my goodness. And then the plane, you see the clouds and all that. Fear of heights is a common phobia, and one that is often experienced intensely. In fact, the symptoms often mirror those of a panic attack, including trembling, sweaty palms, nausea, and dizziness. Some have the phobia because of a traumatic experience. That research suggests that for many others, this fear and similar ones such as claustrophobia is a consequence of being more acutely aware of their bodily sensations than others, and more likely to interpret those sensations as threatening, leading to negative thoughts about jumping, losing their balance, or having a heart attack. But have you ever felt like that? Hi, everybody. Thank you so much for being with me today. I certainly appreciate you for being here today. So, why do some people fear public speaking? Why do some people fear public speaking? How can someone overcome the fear of public speaking? Why do people fear clowns? Why do some women fear pregnancy and childbirth? Can people fear being without their cell phones? Right, right, they can. Because I don't like to go anywhere without mine. And when I had, because they discontinued the two, was it 2G, and that's what my car was on. And so I had, what is it, OnStar, so I could just say, tell them to call whoever. So if I left my phone at home, I didn't have to worry about that. But now I need my phone. Even though I still have the OnStar, it doesn't work in the car except when I have Bluetooth on, and that works through my phone. You know how that is. So I didn't have a problem with that before, but now I do. So I make sure that I have my phone with me and I check and double check. So why do people fear public speaking? That's another thing. But I'm going to go ahead, it's 129, and go to the other part of the fear that I was talking about things. And this is Northwestern Medical. And this is five things you never knew about fear. Northwestern Medical, okay? Northwestern Medicine. Five things you never knew about fear. And this was published in 2020. Understanding the Science of Fear. Understanding the science of fear. There's so much that we need to understand. Understanding the science of fear. Five things we need to know. Fear is our survival response. These are five things we need to know about fear. Hi, thank you for being with me. Understanding the science of fear. Fear is our survival response, says Northwestern Medicine clinical psychologist Zachary Sikora. And he's a psych doctor. Some people, roller coaster fans and horror movie buffs, thrive on it, while other people avoid it. So, have you ever wondered why? Fear is physical. This is the next topic. Fear is physical. Fear is physical. Fear is experienced in your mind, but it triggers a strong physical reaction in your body. Five things we should know about fear. As soon as you recognize fear, Your amygdala, that's your small organ in the middle of your brain, your amygdala, goes to work. It alerts your nervous system, which sets your body's fear response into motion, the amygdala, okay? It alerts your nervous system, and then it sets your body's fear response into motion. Now, stress hormones like cortisol and adrenaline are released, so your blood pressure and heart rate increase. You start breathing faster. Even your blood flow changes. Blood actually flows away from your heart and into your limbs, making it easier for you to start throwing punches or run for your life. Your body is preparing for flight or fight. Okay? This is amazing, isn't it? Your blood flow changes. Then your blood actually flows from your heart and into your limbs. My goodness, making it easier for you to start throwing punches. Because we know, hey, if we have to, we'll throw some punches. If we have to, if it's a life and death situation, I don't believe you should just stand there and let harm come to you if you can protect yourself. And so it says instead of flowing to the heart, the blood flows away from the heart and goes into the limbs, which makes it easy for you to start throwing punches or for you to run for your life. And so then that means your body is preparing for fight or flight. Okay. We've talked about that so many times, that fight or flight. Fear can make you foggy. Oh, yes, it can. As some parts of your brain are revving up, others are shutting down. This is so true. Well, this is rich, isn't it? My goodness, talking about fear. So when the amygdala senses fear, the cerebral cortex, which is the area of the brain that harnesses reasoning and judgment, becomes impaired. Okay, it becomes impaired. You hear that? The cerebral cortex is the part of the brain that harnesses reasoning and judgment. It becomes impaired. So now it's difficult to make good decisions or think clearly. So we're talking about some parts of the brain, of your brain, are revving up, others are shutting down. So when the amygdala senses fear, the cerebral cortex becomes impaired. Isn't that amazing? So now it's difficult to make good decisions or think clearly. I think we can all say that we have experienced that. We don't know what to do. And that's why some people are frozen with fear and they just stand there and there it is. It overtakes them, or whatever the thing is overtakes them. So as a result, you might scream and throw your hands up when approached by an an actor or a haunted house in a haunted house, while you're unable to rationalize that the threat is not real. And I understand that. Oh my goodness, fear can become pleasure. Listen to this. But why do people who love roller coasters, haunted houses, and horror movies enjoy getting caught up in those fearful, stressful moments? Why do they? Let's see. Because the thrill doesn't necessarily end when the ride or movie ends. Okay? So through the uh, excitation transfer process, your body and brain remain aroused even after your scary experience is over. So during a staged fear experience, your brain will produce more of a chemical called dopamine. We've heard all about that, which excites pleasure. So that's Dr. Sakura saying that. So fear is not phobia. Here, you hear this? Fear is not phobia. We just talked about phobias. Fear is not phobia. If you are slightly uneasy about swimming in the ocean after watching Jaws, the movie did what it set out to do. That's for real. To make us scared, scared, scared. That's what it set out to do, to scare us. So it's done what it's supposed to do. Done what it's supposed to do. So, but if you find yourself terrorized, traumatized, unable to function at the mere thought of basking on the beach, you might be experiencing more than just fear. So if you watch the movie and then you're scared to go to the beach, you might be experiencing more than just fear. So the difference between fear and phobia is simple. Fears are common reactions to events or objects, but a fear becomes a phobia when it interferes with your ability to function and maintain a consistent quality of life. That is the difference between fear and phobia. So if you start taking extreme measures to avoid water, spiders, and people, you may have a phobia. You may have a phobia. So fear keeps you safe. Okay. Talk about 5 things that we need to know about fear. This one is fear keeps you safe. Fear is a natural and biological condition that we all experience, says Dr. Sakura. It's important that we experience fear because it keeps us safe. And we all know that we'll either run, we'll stand and fight, whatever the situation calls for, but we want to survive. And whatever mode we have to go into, we'll go into that, whether it's fight or flight. Oh, yes, oh, yes. Yeah. It keeps us safe. Fear is a complex human emotion that can be positive and healthy, but it can also have negative consequences. If a fear or phobia affects your life in negative and inconvenient ways, speak to your primary care provider who can help determine the kind of treatment you might need. And we all need some help somewhere. And I was looking at my graduation, uh, is it tassel? uh, just a couple of days ago, and I have been a certified counselor for 10 years now. And so, like I said, peace of mind counseling, we all need somebody to listen to us sometimes. We need somebody to consult with sometimes. So, it is good that we have somebody that we can trust and that we can talk to, and somebody who can listen to us. Okay, there's one more that I have, and I think uh, let me see, things we need to know about fear. There's one more that I have here, and this is 15 benefits of fear. 15 benefits of fear, and then I will be finished for the day. And I hope that your day is super great. I hope your day is super great. And I am in thriveyard.com. Thriveyard.com. Never been in this one before. 15 benefits of fear, the positive side of fear. See, we look at every angle. We try to cover every angle so we can know and be well rounded in these topics. The positive side of fear, 15 benefits of fear. And this is by Duncan Mugutu. Mugutu. So this article discusses how to accomplish your goals despite having fear or facing doubts or uncertainty about how to proceed. For example, the positive side of fear and benefits of fear. The positive side of fear and the benefits of fear. This is so good. I am so excited about this. I am so excited about this. Thank you so much for being with me today. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Thank you, thank you, thank you. So, what does fear really mean? Fear is a condition of being afraid of something or being worried about an outcome. We all have faced and deal with different types of fear or various stages in our lives. But is fear really a bad thing? What is the message between common communicated by fear? What is the message being communicated about fear? Because there's some people who have that fear and they've developed phobias because, and sometimes, many times, it's because of the environment, how they were raised, who they were around, and all of that. And then we know it's experiences too. Fear is not necessarily a bad thing. It is one of the inbuilt human survival instincts, and we don't want to ever forget that. It's not bad to fear, but when it becomes a phobia and when it becomes unhealthy, that's when you need to seek help. All right? You need to seek help because you can become a danger to yourself and to other people. Have you ever heard of someone being so afraid till they run into traffic or they do something that they don't intend to do, but because that fear has overwhelmed them, they end up being hurt or losing their lives? I know all of us have heard of something like that. Some people have been afraid of something, or somebody's been running them or something. They run into traffic and all that kind of stuff. So there is so much in all of this. Too much fear that paralyzes action is the bad thing. So have you ever done something you were fearful of doing, then looking back, you wonder, why was I scared? I think all of us have done that, huh? So many people face different tears every day, including myself, or different fears every day. So she said, the person said, my biggest fear is the fear of failure. And as a result, I push myself hard and set high targets for myself so that the effort exerted and uh, progress becomes worth it. So being fearful is a scary feeling. It makes one imagine all sorts of outcomes and scenarios. Sometimes the fear can be so intense to the point of inaction. We can be so afraid of something that we don't do anything. And that is so true. So persevering through and in spite of fear stems from a determination to succeed and make a difference in your life and those of other people, to make a mark in the world. Oh, yes, overcoming that fear and doing that thing that you are afraid of that is healthy for you and other people, okay? So here are 15 reasons below why having fear could be a good thing. So this article is written from the perspective of having a goal to accomplish and having fear or facing doubts or uncertainty about how to proceed. Oh, yes. Oh, yes. I'm looking at the time. Looking at the time. So the table of contents is heightened awareness, acknowledgement and enlightenment, focus and concentration, preparation and planning, choices, analysis and evaluation, dissecting, Yes, extremes, removal of barriers, breaking routine, opportunities and resource identification, act- activates championship mentality, motivates you to build skills, letting go and the after strength, overcoming fear and reward anticipation, replacing the breakthroughs, my goodness, are replicated, please excuse me, the breakthroughs, helping others overcome their fears. Number one, what is the heightened awareness? At the basic level, fear guides our fight or flight responses and helps to keep us safe and alive. Talking about heightened awareness. Fear heightens your senses and awareness. It keeps you alert and helps in better preparation. Oh, yes. The negative side of fear is when it holds you back from doing something positive. Did we say it? Most people already know and are aware of what types of fear they face. Common fears include fear of failure, fear of rejection, fear of change, fear of public speaking, fear of losing, fear of the unknown. Ironically, also fear of success. And that it seems strange, doesn't it, that people will be afraid to succeed. But there is that fear. Okay, when I do, then what do I do? What if, what if, what if? Oh, there's so much about fear. There's so much about fear. But we're learning that it can be a good thing, okay? If it is taken and used in a positive way. So too much fear is like trying to fly in a plane with excess baggage. You might have to dump some or pay a hefty price to check in. Okay, to check it in. So to achieve great potential or greater heights, have fear and still push through it. Have fear and still push through it. Overcoming fear is done through action. You hear that? You have to do something to overcome the fear. You can't just sit still and say, oh, I don't want to be afraid anymore. I don't want, you have to do something. You have to take action. Overcoming fear is done through action. So here's a saying by H.P. Lovecraft. The oldest and strongest emotion of mankind is fear, and the oldest and strongest kind of fear is fear of the unknown. For real, fear of the unknown. Two, acknowledgement and enlightenment. So the positive sides of fear. What is the driving force behind your fear? What is the driving force behind your fear? Who is on the driver's seat? You or your fear? Good question. What is the foundation of the fear? What is the root cause? What triggers the fear? These are great questions. Is there someone else who has faced the same fear? How did they cope with it? Are there any takeaways and lessons to be learned from others? And some people don't like to acknowledge the fact that they have fears. So some people don't want other people to know that they are fearful of some things. So therefore, they hold it in and they will withhold things that could help someone else. Even though they've overcome, they won't come out in the open with it because they have the fear of being exposed and being, what is it, vulnerable to other people. There's so much going on, isn't it? There's so much going on. So know that everyone faces fear at one time or another. The fact that others have faced fear and persevered should motivate and encourage you. Taking time to understand what makes us fearful can offer useful insights and help to prepare for the fear and even work on reducing the fear or the fear triggers. And then we can learn from your past fears. You can learn from your past fears because we've all been afraid of something, someone. Yes, we have. It is rare to totally eliminate fear from one's life. However, with practice, fear can be managed and kept under control. So here's a saying here by Duncan Mugutu, and this is a writer of this: make an effort to dig deep within to identify the root of your fear. Make an effort to dig deep within to identify the root of your fear. Undertake a root canal on fear. And have you ever had a root canal? Oh, yes, I have had more than one. But put on an imaginary surgical mask and perform surgery on fear. Cut open fear and analyze its contents under a microscope. Identify and isolate the fear toxins that are contaminating the cells. Isn't that something? Wow. Number three. Number three. Oh, look at me. 153. Number three, focus and concentration. Telling us how fear can be a good thing. Okay? Focus and concentration. What do you want to achieve in life? What do you want to achieve in life? Make a clear definition of your vision and success and back it with the hunger to want to achieve. And we can share this with other people all over the world. This is great information. Create goals that will set you up for success and keep you in a trajectory where you can run consistently and have confidence to jump over obstacles or your path, including fear. Over obstacles on your path, including fear. And you heard that car go by, didn't you? This is a neighborhood. We have children here, even though most of them are in school now, but they pass in school and they act like they are on 35. They act like that, and it's just utterly ridiculous. Now I'm going back to this. Okay. Now, have the will to break out, transcend, and rise above fear. Have the will to break out, transcend, and rise above fear. When at the end of the rope and have to make do or die decisions, fear inspires intense focus. Oh, yes, it does. Fear keeps you alert. It keeps you surviving and progressing. It's a thermometer that lets you know you are moving into a hot area and doing something beyond the normal. Oh, it lets you know that. Kimmy Saguno, Saguno or Sagano said this: if you are busy focusing on the falling bricks, you will never realize that they are truly stepping stones you need to cross over to the next phase of your life. That is neat, isn't it? I'm not going to get to all 15 today, but I'm going to make a note so that I can finish this, God willing, on Tuesday, okay? The Lord says the same, okay? And I want to say this: God willing, I'll be celebrating a birthday on this coming Saturday. I'll be celebrating a birthday. Thank you, God. Number four, preparation and planning. And we're going to stop after this. Preparation and planning. Fear highlights the distance between where you are now and the goal to be achieved. That's preparation and planning. Preparation includes feeding yourself with positive encouragement, inspiration, reading about others who have accomplished their goals, and letting their stories be a source of motivation, imagining yourself as having achieved the goal, and letting this mental imagery spur you onward. Planning includes documenting your starting point, seeing the big picture, breaking it down into smaller tasks, uh, taking action. Remember, taking action. You've got to take action and tracking your progress as you reach each small milestone. Next, you see beyond your current circumstances and vision where you want to be. A dose of perseverance helps one to stay in the game when you feel down, fearful, and feel like giving up. Persevere, okay? Persevere. Don't give up. Don't give up. Please don't give up. You can make it. It helps one to hang in there, to live, to fight another day. And Yogi Berra said, if you don't know where you're going, you'll end up somewhere else. How about that? If you don't know where you're going, you'll end up somewhere else. I'm going to stop there. I'm on number 5. This is thriveyard.com. Thriveyard.com. This is telling us why fear can be a positive thing for us. I love you so much. I thank you so much for being with me today. And God willing, I'll see you Saturday. I'll see you Saturday, God willing, with Greater Gospel Temple and Inspiration of God Ministries. You are wonderful. You are awesome. And I thank God for blessing me to know who you are and to know, and for you to know who I am, and for you helping me and supporting me. It means so much to me. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Enjoy the remainder of your day. You are awesome. And I'm praying for you, and I thank you for praying for me. See you later. Let me get to my music and my outro here. Oh God, I'm calling on you. Oh God, I'm enlisting the saints to pray